It's not every day you start the adventure of a lifetime. Back again, another week. Goes quick, doesn't it? This week, alright, it's not every day you start the adventure of a lifetime. Are going to cover episodes 16 and 17. And yeah, it's a fun part in the river. Once you get past the last of the locks and dams, it becomes a whole different river. And it especially becomes a different river after the Ohio River confluence. And a lot of people ask the question, what was your favorite part of the river? I really enjoy the headwaters. I love how small the river is, how pure the area is, how clean the water is, the wilderness. My second answer to the question is I really enjoyed the river after the confluence of the Ohio River, because you just get this big, huge river, and it seems like you're on a pretty wild shoreline with not a lot around, and it was just really cool. So, hello, Dan Fost. Good to see you. And so yeah, it's a bigger river. It's a strong river. Takes a lot longer to cross it, but I really enjoyed the stretch of the river after the Ohio. And that's not to say I didn't enjoy from the headwaters down to St. Louis. Every part of the river has its uniqueness to it, and I enjoyed being amongst the locks and dams, and I thought that was a really cool area too. But the lower river is a very special part of the river, and I enjoyed it a lot. Hey, Jerry.
Well, good morning and welcome to day 40 on the Mississippi River. It's 7 a.m. We're just getting going. Slept pretty okay, I guess. A lot of barge traffic kind of came through last night, but no problem. The ones heading upriver were really pushing hard to get up there, and the ones heading downriver were just cooking. So, yeah. I don't really know if we have a set goal for today. I know Cape Girardeau was mentioned. We'll just have to see what transpires, I guess. So it's gonna be a little windier today, so hopefully it's not too much.
You can hear that wind too, and it's the first day after I had the umbrella fully up and couldn't even use it because it was windy. And the most dangerous part of the wind is, since you're constantly making corners and bends on the river, the wind comes at you from different ways, and one of the things that would catch me off guard is if the wind would suddenly gust from the side, it would catch that umbrella and jerk the boat one way or another. And so yeah, windy days I just kept the umbrella down. And this next scene coming up here, where the log is just kind of bobbing in the water, kind of the way the river felt after the at this section too. It just very quiet, peaceful area. It felt like you just got through a really busy port of St. Louis and now you got your own river again. So this is a really good example of an area where having a marine radio really comes in handy. So John was on the left side of the river, and I think his intention was to stop at a town, but we were moving pretty good as the water was really hauling through here. And I was going to cross, go to the other side, but I think he was trying to make this town, so I kind of stayed here waiting to see what he was going to do. Well, all of a sudden, barges started coming out of this loading area, and it wasn't leaving us much for room, and there was barges coming downriver at this point, too. And so jumped on the marine radio and said, hey, just letting you guys know, you got 2 kayaks in the area. We're about this point in the river next to these barges. Just please keep an eye out for us. They had no idea we were there. And so the guys in the tow downriver here actually cut back on their power. Basically, they were just holding their position in the river until we could maneuver out of there, waited for that downriver tow to clear. We went out into the river, got around them and everything. So it was one of those spots where the marine radio really came in handy for us.
We get on a straight stretch of the river where the wind is blowing hard straight at us, making us work for each mile.
So this was actually the beginnings of the tropical storm that had made its way all the way up to our point in the river. And we were just starting to see the first effects of that. And I told John, I said, hey, there's a campground 20 miles downriver, whatever it was. And so I told him, I said, I'm just going to get there as quick as I can and see if I can reserve us a spot. And so I took off, utilized the speed of my boat to really get downriver quickly. And it was kind of a cool stretch. There was a lot of barges and stuff, but windy. Not too bad here.
All right, so we stumbled upon a little bit of luck here today. We got all the way to
Hey, Mike.
Grand Tower, I believe it's called, and we are at the Devil's Backbone Campground. It's actually closed due to flooding and all the mud and everything that's still on the shore here, and all the campgrounds are under mud and everything, but we called and got a hold of somebody here, and they said that we were welcome to stay here tonight, which is great.
So this is a trick that I've done a few times on the river to this point, where I pull into an area that you're not supposed to be at, and basically I call the local emergency dispatcher on their non-emergency and on their non-emergency number, and ask them, just say, hey, we're traveling the river, we got a storm coming in, is it possible to stay in this location? In this case, I told the gal where we were, and she said, well, I know how to get a hold of that guy, let me call you back, I will ask him. And so she actually got a hold of him. He said, you guys are more than welcome to stay under the pavilion. They got the porta potty, no electricity, unfortunately, but you're welcome to stay under the pavilion. So super nice that he let us do that. And told the dispatcher that if we needed anything, just to call her again, and then she would connect us. But real nice of him to let us stay. The campground was all closed down due to all the flooding.
We have the option to stay here, but let them get moving on pretty well sooner or later after that. So, but it's kind of cool, you know. The owner said that since he's closed, he's not going to.
And one thing I didn't know, but Tower Rock is actually just downriver a little bit, and I didn't think anything of it when I saw it because it looked like nothing more than an island because of how flooded it was. It was not that huge, impressive structure I had seen in so many pictures. It was just this little island. So, but yeah, Tower Rock was right across from here.
So, pretty cool deal. So. We settle in for the night, enjoying the view from across the river.
I got in the biggest argument with my wife over that, what looks like a bridge. I was coming up on this campground, and we both knew it was here. And I'm like, yeah, I'm coming up on the bridge. And she's like, there's no bridge on the map. I'm like, don't tell me there's not a bridge. I can see a bridge. And what this is this is a pipeline crossing. And so it was just kind of funny because we were arguing about where I really was. I was in the right place. She just knew there wasn't a bridge there.
We're just waiting out Tropical Storm Barry, I believe it is. We have the shelter here, which is kind of nice. Just started raining this morning, so it's been pretty much non-stop since we got here. But we're nice and dry at least, so
all that
not too bad.
out there
Making a
is
big
generally
muddy mess
dry
out there.
ground. There's basketball courts
yeah.
and stuff out there under like 6 inches of mud and silt from all the flooding. Eventually I put out a bunch of baggies with my tent spikes holding them up and caught a bunch of rainwater and topped off some of my water.
What is going on, everybody? It is July 15. I have been on the banks of the Mississippi River now for 41 days. Holy smokes, it's really going quick. So we are still at the Devil's Backbone Campground. We did a 0 mile day today. I actually walked further up to the store than I kayaked today. I made 0 inches with the kayak. Pretty much rained most of the day today, and so we were good under the shelter. We stayed perfectly dry. I went up to the store, got a pizza, got a sub, I got all kinds of food. I got cupcakes and chocolate bars. It was good. I'm so full of junk food, it's not even funny, but it feels good. So still got the place to ourselves. It rained all day, but there's a couple kind of interesting things I wanted to show y'all. So you can see here, that's the river line right there. That's how high it was. And so I am actually up a hill, and see if I can find a good way to show that hill. So I'm up this little hill here. But yeah, you can see how far out the water is and how high it actually was. And even that flag would have been in the river. So
we saw a lot of stuff like this. There'd be different structures or rocks or tree lines along the river, and you would see these water lines, and you would look up 10 feet, and there was the water line. Absolutely insane how much water was in some of these areas. There's the big pool before Lock 26 in Grafton, Illinois, when I talked about how bad the flooding was there. And just to think of the massive area that would have been an additional, 20 feet higher or 30 feet higher than it was when I got there. Incredible how much water flows down the river.
Like 2 or 3 of them digging in the garbage cans right next to my hammock, so I jumped out to deal with them, kicked them out of there, got them out, they ran off. Went to go get back in the hammock and tore the thing.
So one of the reasons I wanted to do the river was I wanted to have different challenges and overcome obstacles, stuff that I wasn't used to dealing with. And so yeah, I got back in my hammock after chasing off these raccoons, which John Denton was also having an issue with. So it was about midnight when they came and they were digging in the garbage can right next to my boat. Of course, I just threw a fresh pizza box in there, so I had their attention, whole family of raccoons. And so I get out because my kayak was right next to it, so I wanted to scare them off. I go over, I chase all the raccoons out of the garbage can and got them off into the woods. Go, midnight, go to get back in my hammock, sit down, and the thing tore just this huge tear down the side of it. And so in the middle of the night with my headlamp, I had to come up with a solution. So I, put some little rocks in here. I tied this 500-pound test cord I had around them. And then
I had to actually do a repair on the hammock in the middle of the night, otherwise it could have very well torn.
And then once I had them tied in there, I was able to just wrap around a bunch of times. So there was these gaps where mosquitoes could get in. But this thing, actually, we've used this hammock several times since then. It looks exactly the same. I actually went through and super glued the knots together, so now the knots are pretty much permanent. But it was a good fix for the moment. I don't know how long the hammock will last. It should just get replaced, but I'm cheap and it still works. So I still use it, but just an idea if you guys get stuck or something like that was to happen, just put the fabric, wrap a rock in there, and tie a bunch of line around it. Hopefully she'll hold. I want that. So, and then about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, the paddler I'm with. So John was making fun of me because I had to get up and deal with the raccoons, and I finally got him out of there. He was laughing. He thought it was a good time. Well, about 3 a.m., the raccoons returned, but this time they were dealing with his stuff. He had all his dry bags sitting on the picnic tables, and his tent was on the ground with the picnic tables around. And so he wakes up about 3 o'clock in the morning, looks over, there's a whole family of raccoons opening up and going through his dry bags. And he is yelling and screaming at them from inside the tent, not even just a couple feet away. And the raccoons were just looking at him and laughing like, buddy, what are you going to do? You know, he actually had to get out of his tent to get them to run off. And it was some colorful language coming out of there. It was funny. It was a funny time.
Not even 5 feet away from where he was sleeping. He was sleeping in a tent on the ground, and he was yelling at him and screaming at him, and they didn't run off at all. Like, they literally just sat there, and
so
he had to get out of the
DC
tent
asked, where did you store your food at night? Did you ever hang
interesting. I'm
bear
sure they're used to
bags
having campers
when
and
camping
food all
under the trees?
summer, and this summer
I
is
never
probably kinda,
worried about hanging the
making them,
food.
tighten
It
the
just
belts
stayed
a
in the
little bit,
on
and
the
they have food
kayak
everywhere.
all the time.
But,
I just made sure I didn't have any
aside
food
from
in my
that,
immediate
no
area,
complaints. The place
but
has
I
been
did not
great,
make any
and,
special effort to hang the food.
Really kind of saved us from having to deal with the storm at all. So as for that, that's pretty much the rest of the story. We're going to try to make Cape Girardeau tomorrow, 30 miles. We got a place to stay, shower, resupply, and then we're going to get back out on the grind and start pounding miles away. The towns now get more split apart, and resupplies will be far and fewer in between, so it'll be a good opportunity to rinse out the water bags, refill them with some fresh water, and get brand new food on the boat, and get ready for the next leg of the trip. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So for today, that'll be it. No miles on the kayak, about 2 on foot. So we'll catch you on the next one.
It was really nice to have this campground to stop at, but man, did it get boring. There's just nothing to do there. But watch the barge traffic. I absolutely enjoyed just watching the barges come by. And we had that app on our phone, Find Ship, so we could see when they were coming. So it always would give me a little bit of time to get the drone out and get the drone up in the air. These are wind turbine blades coming by here, so it's pretty cool to see them. They're just a unique item on the river. But yeah, huge sections of barges coming down, up and down the river. Can't remember how many are on this one, but quite a few. And I know I stopped the video while it's playing and show, but this is Tower Rock right here, in case you were wondering. It doesn't look like much more than an island. One of the reasons I didn't fly the drone over the river a lot sometimes was every time I put the drone up, there was like little swallows that would do laps around the drone, and I was worried that if the drone struck one of them, that it would shut it down and it would just fall. And the last thing I wanted was to have the drone come down because it hit a little bird as it was flying. But so I tried to use the zoom a little bit more. It's digital zoom, it's not great, but yeah, every time I put the drone up, there was birds flying around the drone. They just had something for it, and just being extra careful. Of course, you can see some of the flooding out there. All the fields are underwater. So it just goes to show how much water moves through the area. This underwater.
Good morning, everybody. We are on day 42, I think. And what a day we are going to have, because we are going to try to leave the campground, the Devil's Backbone campground, and make Cape Girardeau. It is windy, it is going to be rainy. It is not going to be a fun 30 miles, but there is a bit of a reward at the end for us if we do make it. And that's a shower and a home to sleep in and dinner and everything, so we're going to try. John is determined to make it. The loyal friend I am, of course I will go with.
I wasn't thinking too clearly here. I put my raincoat over my life jacket. I did fix that, if anybody wanted to know.
Gonna have the rain skirt on. So it'll be a grinder today, but we had yesterday off, so we should be well rested and well prepared for a little bit of work. I'll try to keep up with John here. He's already a ways down. He hopped right in today, so we ain't getting
Yeah, if it would have been just me at this point, I would have stayed there another day because it was windy, it was crappy and rainy, and it definitely probably wouldn't have been safe to go as just a single paddler through the rest of this storm. But I figured if him and I stayed close enough together, we'd probably be okay, and it worked out. Hey, Gabriel, welcome. I don't have a clue what that thing is. It must repair track, I'm assuming, or lay track. Goofy looking thing, but he was honking at us. It was pretty cool to see. I had no idea if I was going to have any footage from this day because the camera was constantly wet, and even just looking at it, it just looks smeared. So I just let it roll. I figured, you know, there'd definitely be no footage if I didn't film, so I let her go, and it worked out. Another one of those areas too where we really had to keep an eye out behind us because the tows coming down river were flying, and we had to be really careful that we didn't turn around and all of a sudden there was one there. So they were moving really quick. Prop wash from the barges and tows. Fun to go over the waves. One thing I was most worried about was
We're gonna get some more.
I knew a lot of the wind dikes and stuff are underwater, but when the water is choppy like this, you can't see where any of the disturbances are, especially when it was this flooded. So you had to be really careful that you didn't come across something that you didn't know was there. I wondered to myself, I saw these quite a bit, these barges full of gravel and rocks, and I couldn't imagine what that would weigh. Apparently this section of the river has a giant whirlpool somewhere in it. Thankfully I didn't run into it. I don't know where it is, I didn't see it, but I guess in flood stage, when you come around the last corner before Cape Girardeau, apparently there's a big whirlpool around here somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. Couldn't see through all the rain.
After a very windy and rainy 30 miles paddling through the remainder of Tropical Storm Barry, John and I make Cape Girardeau. What you guys doing?
Shows the dedication of the River Angels. They came out, stood in the rain, helped us on this muddy. This is a boat launch. The boat launch is actually probably like 20 feet behind us underwater. But so it's just super slick, nasty mud here, and
We meet Dan and his
stood
buddies
out in the
to take us out
rain
to
and
get some
waited
barbecue
for
food.
us, and then yeah, brought us out and got us a great meal. Ice cream.
Okay. Okay, you want back?
Yeah, please. Thanks. Boats, gear, and all, John and I return to Dave and Marla's home for the night.
I'm pretty boat out
They
there.
make us a wonderful home-cooked meal, complete with dessert.
That was the best salad of my life. I hadn't
John
had
and I
salad the whole time, and
day
so it was
in a
really
lap
good.
of luxury in Cape Girardeau. A special thank you to Dave and Marla for their kindness. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
So that's the flood wall in Cape Girardeau. It's got paintings up and down it. Pretty cool. Obviously, all the gates are closed. The sea gates, or whatever they call them. Flood wall, floodgates, something. Anywho doodle. So we'll go through maps. Here is day 40. Day 40. Brings us down to Grand Tower. 50 miles. And day 42, so day 41 was a 0 mile day. Here is day 42, and that was just that 27.5 miles down to Cape Girardeau where we got picked up. That's it for maps for here. So yeah, and boom, let's do episode 17.
All right, it's not every day you... Hello and welcome to episode 17. In the last episode, we made it past our 6th week paddling on the Mississippi River. After 42 days, the river has really changed from the small river I grew up with in Minnesota. Now, in southern Missouri, we have passed Cape Girardeau. We are over halfway done with the trip and will soon be ending what is known as the Upper Mississippi River. We will officially be on the Lower Mississippi as we pass by Cairo and the Ohio River confluence. It's another beautiful start to the day, so let's get out there. Good morning, everyone. It is day 43. Holy moly. Day 43. We are on the river, leaving Cape Girardeau. Stayed at Dave and Marla's house last night. Beautiful, very clean house. Shower. I got a little bit of a resupply. I've been resupplying every couple of days, so the boat's pretty much full anyway. But brand new fresh water. Cleaned out my water jugs, so that's really good. Very happy about that. I went to bed at like 8:30 last night, slept till about 5:30 this morning, and damn did that feel good. So yeah, we are out here. Tropical Storm Barry is pretty well wrapping up. A little bit of clouds left over, which is a good thing. And yeah, we are on our way. John Denton's about a mile ahead of me already. I'm gonna catch him, no problem, I'm sure. And back out on the miss. My goal for today, I think John's is the same, is to get past Cairo. I've been calling it Cairo. I was informed it's pronounced Cairo. That'll put us outside of Illinois and into Kentucky and Missouri. So we again make it.
Yeah, John, whenever we would pack up the boats to head back onto the river, he literally would throw in his bag and his crate that he had, and he was off and running. His boat was amazingly designed that he could just drop his stuff in. And my kayak took me about a half hour to go from empty to full, just because it took me so long to get everything in there. But so he was already on the river. He was probably about a mile ahead of me, and I thought I could see him downriver. When I finally caught up to what I thought was John, I figured out it was just a fridge floating down the river. It was unfortunate, but it was funny.
Coming up on the Cape Girardeau Bridge.
Pretty cool bridges. Is amazing how many barges these things can push and how far they are from front to back, and it's amazing they can navigate as good as they do. get good angles on the waves. The cameras just never do a good job.
Shame.
Yeah, John's Canopy
There were
was,
several submerged fields.
John's Canopy was super nice, Mike.
They were all draining back into the river.
And then Dan, how many days would you guess that you're able to use your umbrella? Ooh, I would use it most days. It was just how long into the day could I continue to use it. I used it probably more than I didn't use it. This is kind of a crazy thing here. So this was actually across a really wide stretch of the river, so I couldn't, I was trying to get footage of this from across the river, but when you zoom that far in with your camera, everything gets really shaky and hard to see, but I could hear all this rushing water, and it was all these fields were draining back into the river that had been flooded. And one of the people I subscribe to on YouTube is actually a towboat captain, and he was bringing rocks to fill these back in, that all these breaches in the wall. Pretty crazy. Shows just how much water was pouring out this whole area. And it's, if you look at it on a map too, it's just pretty much right before the Cairo confluence. Huge area, all underwater. Yeah, the water was pretty crazy there. Obviously there's some kind of a wind dike or back channel. So there's actually a barge coming from upstream, and so we were like, let's see if we can get across real quick. And my Solstice is so much quicker than John's boat was, and so I had an easy paddle. I could just cruise by him, so I had to ask him why he looked like he was working so hard, you know, as there's a barge barreling down on us and we were crossing, but it was fun. The Solstice was fast.
What's going on, everybody? Quick video for you. We have just entered the Mississippi River.
So you can see over here, this is the Ohio River, this is the Mississippi. Cairo would be right behind me here. That's these trees.
Ohio River confluence, and that's a cool spot for a few reasons. Number one, the river now gets very big as the Ohio joins it, and it'll gain a little bit of speed perhaps. Number two, it ends Illinois, so we are now in the bordering states of Missouri and Kentucky, which is pretty cool. And three, the river miles kind of reset.
So Mike asked, did you try and stay between green and red buoys? When I left Iowa, there pretty much was no more buoys. They were either under the floodwaters or they had been, or they had drifted off. I found more buoys on shore than I found in the river. I don't remember where the last buoy I saw was, but I pretty much didn't see them again until the day just before, well, the day of my reaching the Gulf. So yeah, I didn't have a buoy line, and that's what everybody always told me. Just follow the buoy line and you'll be good. For the most part, I didn't have a buoy line, and even when I did up in Iowa, they were kind of randomly placed. There wasn't just a nice stretch where they always were. But so I wanted to. I definitely
They
wanted
will now
to.
start counting down again from around 9:53 or so, whatever it is, down to mile 0. So it's a pretty cool area for many reasons.
Gabriel asked if I ever had the blade of the paddle dive into the water and almost flip me. No. When I was getting used to the feather of my paddle, that would happen. But I've long since gotten used to not doing that. Actually, what I would have happen more often was when I was filming, I'd have the paddle sitting across the cockpit of the kayak, and it would dangle and hit the water and pull the kayak over, or the paddle overboard.
It's also
I got better at that
just
too.
kind of one of those halfway marker points. You know, we're starting the lower river now, so you guys, St. Louis is more of the halfway point, but you know, it's kind of one of those things. So it's cool. And
Barge traffic was super heavy in this area. The whole Kentucky side was barges, and then as we rounded the corner here, it was just barges all tied up, all lined up, and actual barges that were tied to tows too, not just fleeted barges that were sitting. And so we tried to come around this corner, and there's a barge right there. So we ended up backing up the river a little bit, and we waited for him to pass. We tried sneaking back around. We eventually had to get far enough out into the river that we could go around all the ones that were just sitting there. It was, I guess the best way I could say it was kind of a blind corner, and it was kind of tricky. But this was just cool because this is just towboat on a dry dock, and you can see just how big these props are. It gives you an idea of why they kick up such a huge wake when they're moving.
Boat launch and stop for the night at Joseph Hunter Moore Water Access.
So at this point, I'm laying in my tent, and I'm looking over the levee, and I'm watching these clouds dancing. And I saw John, who was probably about 100 feet up from me. I told him, I said, "Hey, John, I want to get in your tent. It's going to get a little windy." And he didn't even have it staked down. He just had it sitting up. And when these winds hit, he caught him off guard, to say the least. He's lucky his tent wasn't in the river. I cannot 100% say this is a funnel cloud, but I'll tell you what, laying in a tent, watching this thing come straight over the levee wall, it was pretty ominous. I don't see enough rotation, but I'll tell you what, it is pretty close. It's interesting because people had told me that if you're not careful in storms, you could be blown into the river, and I don't know what it would take to do that, but the thought of going into the river in your tent is pretty terrifying. And so, of course, I'm just on the other side of a row of trees and a little hill from the river, and after hearing that story so many times and then sitting in the tent as it's like in a wind tunnel, of course that comes to mind. But luckily we made it through.
Oh, there's a little bit of air conditioning for the tent, though.
Yeah, it got real cool. That was nice. That was the best part.
Day 44. Good morning, everybody. We were waking up here just south of the Cairo, Ohio River, Mississippi River confluence. We had some pretty good storms roll through last night. Mostly a wind event for us. A lot of the rain, lightning, and thunder broke up and went around us. We found this nice little boat ramp just downriver from the confluence, and it's not a bad little spot. There was quite a bit of mud and flooding up here at one point, but
John actually left his boat there the whole night. It wasn't tied up or anything.
Good ground to sleep on last night, so no problem.
I'm surprised it was still there.
I would sleep like crap in the tent. I've said that before, and I surely lived up to it today. So not much to look forward to today aside from just miles, and then of course being on the river. So we'll see what transpires, but we really don't have a town to hit until Crothersville, which is still a couple days away, and that's where I pick up my new hammock. So I'm really excited about that, and send the old one back. So I don't know. It's just a nice quiet day out there, nice quiet morning on the river. It's just 7 o'clock, so a little bit of rain to our north coming at us, but I don't think there's going to be any real problem with it. So. But the river's nice and calm in the morning, so yeah.
It's just a good look at the kayak. People would often ask, what was on top of the boat. So the deck lines that came on the boat, and then I took and weaved bungee cord in here, and that's where the tent spike was. This is one of my ropes. My other rope you can see here, and then I had my 1/4-inch thick 50-foot rope that I would use to tie the boat up. Shoes, deck bag full of stuff. Radio.
See what transpires for the day.
Let's see. My bathroom. My GPS always hung there. Obviously the wheels would go here, and then the umbrella on top. Garbage. I'd always try to keep garbage tied down as best I could. If it didn't fit in the boat, which sometimes after a resupply it was hard to get the garbage back in. But let's take a look at the boat.
Paddling this wide stretch of river. 3 miles down from Cairo. And yeah, super windy. Just making for some slow progress. I mean, we've been doing about 6.5 miles an hour a day. But this has got us down to around 5, I think, so it's hard work.
So yeah, this was just one of the moments. I wish I would have gotten a better angle. You can see right here the whirlpool, and John's just drifting right into it, and he finally gets into it, and he just literally like completely stopped in the river and was just doing circles, and it was just hilarious.
Really?
Yeah, I think these were submerged sandbars here when the water would get real jumpy like that. It's kind of a weird area. Gotta imagine those things just weigh a ton. Obviously, several tons. And then this next towboat, a big old girl here.
We find camp at a random place and call it a night, enjoying the sunset. Well, good morning, everybody. It is day 46, I believe, on the Mississippi River, and we are leaving camp. We are just upriver from New Madrid, the earthquake zone, and yeah, we are on the water at 6:28. It is July 19th.
So if you're not familiar with what the earthquake zone is, back in, 1800s or something, I think there was actually an earthquake that took place, and I think it crossed the Mississippi and lifted up a portion of the riverbed, and it actually lifted up so much that it pushed water back upriver, and there was several hours the river flowed in reverse, and so it was just a devastatingly huge event. There's all kinds of really cool videos online that, you know, they kind of did like computer animations of how they think it would have been and looked, and pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna try to make Brothersville today. I have a new hammock coming in the mail because I ripped the hell out of mine. So I'm hoping that we can
Yeah, Mike, that tow was here.
get there, get that, and that'll be set for a while. We had a cool talk last night with Dale Sanders of Memphis. He's a well-known adventurer, and he will come out and pick up paddlers and take them back to his place for a day. And you get to sign the wall up name, which is basically a wall in the basement, I believe it is, that paddlers sign on their way through, and there's all kinds of cool names that we're going to see on there, I bet. If you watch videos or you have read or studied any parts of the Mississippi River, you may yourself recognize some of those. So look forward to seeing that. That'll be kind of neat. And not to mention the fact that we'll be in Memphis, and Memphis is really getting down there on the map, so that's pretty cool. 3 days to Memphis, so today is Friday. We should be there this Sunday evening, we're hoping. So see how it goes. It's supposed to be hot. We're now in an excessive heat warning pattern, and it's going to last a couple days, eventually being broke by storms. But I mean, they're talking high 90s with heat indexes way into the, well into the hundreds. So it's going to be hot. It's supposed to be windy, and if it's windy, that kind of sucks because that makes it hard to put the umbrella up and protect you from the heat and the sun. So, but it is a beautiful morning on the river. Nice and calm out here. John Denton is just in front of me, and we're making some progress. So, with that sunrise happening. Making progress on the map yet again. We are going to be crossing into another state. Hooray! We are going to make it into Tennessee. So, we are leaving Kentucky behind. Tennessee is right here in front of me, or already a little behind me. I don't even know, but we're in Tennessee. Our new bordering states now are Missouri and Tennessee, which is pretty cool. Memphis is only a few days away. I already got a place to stay there for the night. That's exciting. Dale Sanders' house. We're going to sign the Wall of Fame, get a shower, get relaxed up for a night, and hit the river again the next day. So, pretty cool stuff.
DZ, once, especially once you get past the major metropolitan areas, camping is really easy. Even on a flood year like I went, where a lot of ground was underwater, it was still pretty easy to find places to camp. I heard a figure that above Baton Rouge, the river is 90% wild, 10% industrial or commercial or residential. And then below Baton Rouge, it flips, and it's 10% wild, 90% basically industrial and commercial at that point. So, yeah, you pretty much have this solid tree shoreline for days at a time, broken by little towns here and there. So, yeah, once you're... especially once you're past Minneapolis, it really starts to get easy to find places to stay. You just crawl into some nook or cranny on the shoreline, call it home.
I paddled on for quite a while, finally reaching Crothersville, where the replacement hammock I mailed myself was waiting at the post office. I also came across many nice people in town who offered me water and drinks.
I'm Karen.
I'm Scotty.
That's Dylan.
So yeah, I have to give credit. There was a few other people who stopped by. One guy actually worked at a place that built barges, and they would launch them into the river right there, just upriver from this area. And so he called his buddy. His buddy came over and gave me some water. So this is Crothersville. Everybody told me Crothersville is a terrible place to stop, and I mailed myself a replacement hammock down here. 2-3 days before, and the post office was about a mile off the river. Since everybody warned me, don't leave your kayak in Crothersville, I actually put it on its wheels and I drug it a mile down to the post office. I locked it up outside, went in. I got to fill up my water a little bit. All I had was a little sink to work with. I couldn't even fit my whole bag in there. But I got my package, mailed my bad hammock home, a few other things home. And then I walked back to the boat launch. And on the way back, I had a cut on my hand, and I can't remember from what, but I bumped that cut, and so my hand started gushing blood, and it wasn't an emergency by any means, but it was just bleeding like crazy. And as I'm pulling the boat downtown, this dude in his car stops, and he's asking me, and of course I raise up my blood hand, as I'm pointing and talking, and he's like, "What happened?" So I had people that were trying to bring me water and snacks. One dude gave me a 6-pack of like these flavored energy waters, and those were hugely helpful. They full of electrolytes and everything. I didn't even think to film the guy or ask him his name or anything. So he's gonna go down as one of those honorary river angels that helped out. And unfortunately, I'm never gonna be able to thank him for that through the videos. But so it was him, and then this family was actually traveling through, and they saw the kayak, and of course the first question people ask you is, did you just come off the river in that thing? And this gal was actually telling me stories that her dad had crossed the Mississippi in like a little 14-foot John boat with like a little 5-10 horse motor, and the whole family thought he was crazy and wasn't going to make it back. And so to hear that I was actually out in the river in a kayak, she thought that was just the most incredible thing. She's like, "Well, have you ever crossed the river? That's crazy. Have you ever crossed?" And I said, "Well, I probably cross the river 24 times a day." And so she was pretty surprised by that. But they were fun to talk to, nice folks. They were from out of town.
Water, so thank you very much, guys. I do appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Take care. After getting my package, you find camp near a buoy.
That's what your buoys look like, Mike. That's where all the buoys were.
What's going on, everybody? Finally made camp. Gonna have some stews and beans and some drink. We stopped at Crothersville. I had mailed myself a package over there, and it just arrived here the other day, so we ran to pick it up at the post office. And man, I had like 15 different people stop.
I was actually really lucky too. The floodgates to Caruthersville had just opened like 24 hours before I had gotten there. Otherwise, I would have had to have jumped the wall. But pretty lucky.
Couple 1 gallon jugs, and then some of these guys, these body armor
That's that
super
water.
drinks, apparently full of electrolytes and all that stuff. So that'll be good. That'll help me out a lot. So yeah,
See
I
on my
was
knee.
being told that Caruthersville wasn't a
Mosquito
great place
bites.
for paddlers to stop, but man, those are some of the nicest people I've met so far. It's crazy. So, but yeah, so we're just at camp. It's just another sandy area. Hammock is up. Got the brand new hammock. It's not a whole heck of a lot. Boat, water, and I like these.
Nice.
shorelines
It's like my own
that
little
go all around the
cove.
water,
I
which
I
always
love
makes me
those
feel
spots.
better
Big
at
old
night. No, they're not
crayfish,
gonna go nowhere,
little
so-
red lobster thing. I don't know, crayfish.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
assuming.
good day. I mean, we did
Never seen a red
right
one.
around 50 miles, 49, 50 miles, whatever it was. So, yeah, it's a good.
I think it was hunting for some
gonna keep
toes.
making that progress towards Memphis, so we'll hopefully be there by Sunday night. So not tomorrow, but the next day, and we get a shower and a home cooked meal, and get to wash up and clean and resupply, and that'll be great. So aside from that, I'm gonna get eating. A lot of people seem to be surprised by what I eat out here, and I'm very simple. I mean, these are green beans in a can, not even cooked. No need.
Cooked, not warmed up.
And then we got like these quick ready-made stews. And you're supposed to throw them in a microwave, but they're already cooked. So I just eat them as they are. And it's really good. Meat, potatoes, veggies.
I could have probably eaten about 40 of those each night. I ate 2.
With the amount of time and energy it would take me to make a fire and heat these things up, I'll already have them gone. And on to my next chore of the night. So, but the stews are really good out here. I don't know why, but that's what I really want to eat when I get to camp. The closest thing to a good meal I think I get.
It was nice. That was each night. I'd eat whatever little scraps of food I had, and then I'd just go hang in the hammock and just enjoy being where I was at. It was pretty sweet.
Quick. Pretty much ready to eat meal. So yeah, it's good.
I will end right there on the big old girl. Let's see, what do we got for mileage for this one? Day 43. So we got July 17, 57.16 miles. Cape Girardeau. This is the big loops before Cairo. This is where all that flooding was. And I don't know. I mean, maybe some of the water coming through was actually off the Ohio. I guess I'm not really sure, but this turn here is where all this flooding was coming from. And I guess they had to pretty much rebuild this entire shoreline because it had eroded away. But yeah, this is that turn where we were having trouble getting around because of all the barges. And this is that boat launch we stopped at. Day 44. 49 and a quarter miles. So stopped on the shoreline right before New Madrid. There was some, as I remember, these were some really long wind dikes right here. I mean, they must have been a quarter mile jetting out into the river. We went over them because they were underwater, but pretty crazy how big they were. And there's actually this island right here. We could have camped on that, but I think there was an island here too that was really nice. But let's see, day 45 and 50 miles. All the turns before Caruthersville. So yeah, pretty cool. But well, that's another week already. Look at that big old girl. Isn't that crazy? Big old river boats. So Hormel completes. Jay was eating, I think. Yes, correct. That's exactly what they were. And I've tried buying those since being back on the river and heating them up in the microwave. I can eat them cold. I do not like them heated up. I don't know what it is about them. But it's fine. They're probably not that good for me anyway. So I can read. I read you can put those ready-to-eat stews in plastic. Yeah, you could. Most of the stuff I could have heated up. I just never did. I don't know. I have no problem eating things cold as long as they're cooked. I really don't care. I'm not a finicky eater by any means. I seem to be paying attention. Keep going. Oh, no worries, Gabriel. You do your thing, man. It's all good. Yeah. Well, Mike, I'm sure we'll have to chat about that, especially if we're gonna go out and do a little river thing this summer. It'd be fun. You'll probably see me eating the same garbage in a can that I ate on this trip. So, but yeah, I don't know. That's about all I had for this one, and it's pretty fun being in this part of the river now. When I go back and watch my videos, I usually watch the lower river videos. For some reason, maybe it's just because they're the freshest in my mind, but I had a lot of fun on the big river south of the confluence of the Ohio. It was a good time. So, hey Jay, is it true that river cruisers go all the way up to St. Paul? Yeah, some of them do. They are doing it less and less, I think, but for now they can still get up to St. Paul. It sounds like they're going to be doing less and less with Lock and Dam 1, which will limit them. And I don't know, I guess if Lock and Dam 1 isn't open anymore, I'm not really sure what the point would be. There's that American Queen or whatever it's called. That's the one that was blocking the boat ramp in Natchez when I came through. I think that one might actually have a pretty difficult time turning around on the river up that far. It's a pretty big boat, so I'm sure it could do it, but I don't know if something like that would go all the way up there. And some of those smaller river boats that you see, especially like the down by what was that? LeClaire, Iowa, I think it was. There was that blue one. La Crosse has one. There's the Natchez down in Louisiana. Those boats could do it, but I think they kind of just stick to their own like 20-mile sections and master their own little area. But some of them do longer trips, so there's companies that you could actually look. Josh and you, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm not a finicky eater. Like I said, I'll eat whatever as long as it's cooked. And but that's all I got for this week, guys. So if you got no further questions on these two episodes, just a short week from now, be getting into the end of February. So maybe the water will turn back into a liquid soon, and we can get back out on the water, because this is the time of the year where I start bouncing off the walls like crazy, and having my videos really helps. Doing a little commentary thing is fun because it kind of helps give me something to do. But yeah, I'm ready for spring, so let it be spring. We finally broke the cold snap. We've had temperatures above zero now for more than an hour, which has been really nice. I mean, we're still like 10 degrees, but that's 30 degrees warmer than we've been, which is crazy to think. So, but all right, guys, y'all take care. I don't really have much else, so we'll catch you again soon.